Welcome to daily news analysis of the Indian Express and the Hindu. So in this video, we will look at some of news items and editorials from our exam point of view. And then in the end, we will look at MCQs framed based on today's newspaper. Now, before moving forward, set 9 of this highly recommended MCQ video series is already out. If you have not watched these videos, then please go and watch it, as these videos include current affairs, PYQs, and covers our entire syllabus. So it will definitely give a boost to your prelims preparation. Also, if you're not subscribed to this channel, then please subscribe it, as I'll be uploading more videos under this series, which will definitely give a boost to your prelims 2023 preparation. Now let's see today's news items. News item is related to G20, where ongoing G20 summit is currently happening in Bali, Indonesia, and India has assumed G20 presidency for 2023. So under it, in a joint statement, all countries have reiterated that the war is causing economic difficulties and insecurities worldwide. And there is a threat of nuclear weapons that is looming large over the world nations. So it has called for peace and said that today's era must not be of war, but of cooperation. Now, in that respect, let us look at a few facts about G20. So G20 was formed in 1999 after Asian financial crisis. It is a grouping of top 19 economies plus European Union, which consists of nearly 66% of world population and nearly 85% of global GDP. Its members are top 20 big economies, and it has no permanent secretariat, and its presidency rotates year-wise. So India will be holding presidency in 2023 for the first time, and 2024 the presidency will be held by Brazil. So for the first time in history of G20, three nations that are developing nations have consecutively held its presidency, and the three nations which are holding presidency for past year, present year, and future year forms part of Troika. So keep these facts in mind. Now moving forward, Kerala to ask governor to convene assembly session from December 5. So there has been an ongoing tussle between Kerala government and governor of Kerala with respect to appointment of vice chancellors in various universities. And in that regard, Kerala government wants Kerala governor to be removed as a chancellor of universities. So as the assembly is not in progress in Kerala, Kerala government recommended governor to pass an ordinance in that regard. The ordinance for the states is under Article 213, but governor has not passed that ordinance. So Kerala government is thinking of alternative path by presenting the bill before the house, and then the bill will go to the governor, and then it will become an act. Now, with respect to ordinance powers are given to president and governor under Article 123 and 213 respectively, under which if an assembly or house of people is not in session, then president or governor can promulgate ordinance on advice of council of ministers, and that ordinance will have all the effects as of a law passed by a legislature. But that ordinance should be passed by assembly within 6 weeks of its sitting again, and if that ordinance is not passed within 6 weeks, then that ordinance would be lapsed. So these are some of facts about ordinance. Now moving forward, this news item is related to that gruesome murder that happened in Delhi, where a man has killed his living partner and dumped his body parts in a forest. So in that regard, police approached court for narco test of Aftab. So police has approached the court for narco analysis to find the true facts about the case. Now, This case per se is not relevant for our exam point of view, but let us see few technical things about a narco test and its constitutional provisions. So narco test is injection of drug which makes an individual subconscious and his imagination is neutralized, and as a result it is expected that the accused would divulge information that is true. Now, when it comes to constitutional principles under Article 23, every citizen has right against self-incrimination, which means an individual or an accused cannot be compelled to witness against himself. So in that regard, in a judgment called Salvi versus State of Karnataka, Supreme Court has ruled that these tests, the lie detector test or narco test, should not be conducted without the consent of accused. So if an accused has given consent to undergo these tests, then only these tests can be conducted. And further, these tests cannot be considered as a confessions, but through these tests, the information that is revealed or discovered can be helpful in discovering new evidences. So just remember that first, it cannot be held without consent of accused. Second, the confessions that are made cannot be used as a confession in court, but these statements can be used by police to discover new information which can be helpful in the case. Also, in D.K. Basu versus State of Bengal in 1997, the involuntary administration of polygraph and narco text is against Article 21, right to life and liberty. Now, moving forward, this news item pertains to economy. Hold urgent meeting of GST Council. West Bengal's Amit Misra urges Finance Minister. So it has been 4 months since GST Council meet has not taken place, and in that regard, the advisor of Chief Minister of Bengal has said that council meeting should be taking place once in every quarter, and he cited the rules under GST Council, which states that council shall meet at least once in every quarter of the financial year. Now let us look at few facts from prelims point of view about GST Council. So GST Council is a constitutional body which was created under Article 279(1) of Constitution, and this GST Council is a part of GST Act or Goods and Services Act, which was brought in by 101st Constitutional Amendment Act. Now, GST Council is chaired by Union Finance Minister and it has members from all states. And Finance Minister in charge of all states are part of it. Now, the decisions taken in GST Council is by 3/4 of majority. And this 3/4 of majority would be reached based on the voting percentage, that is 1/3 weightage given to center and 2/3 weightage given to all states. So effectively, center holds veto in GST Council, because if center does not want any provision to be passed, then 3/4 majority cannot be reached. So these are the facts about GST Council. Now is related to environment. At COP27, India and 3 others oppose carbon border tax. So currently COP27 is ongoing in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, to deliberate on carbon related emissions and greenhouse emissions. So in that regard, India and 3 other nations have objected for carbon border tax. So what is carbon border tax? So basically it will be a duty or tax that would be imposed on imports based on amount of carbon emission it has emitted while producing that product. So suppose if item A is produced and it has emitted X amount of carbon, then the duty would be imposed based on how much carbon that is emitted by on producing this item. So it would be in a way disadvantage for developing countries like India, South Africa, or other nations which heavily rely on fossil fuels currently. So European Union is planning to introduce carbon border adjustment tax, in which the items which are imported in European Union would be taxed based on carbon emissions. So in that regard, India and other nations, basically basic nations, it is a grouping of four nations: Brazil, South Africa, India, and China, and all have objected for this tax because it would be detrimental for developing nations like India. Now, moving forward, this news item is related to elections. Unknown sources of income spiked after electoral bond entry. So national parties' unknown income rose from 66% to 71% in 3 years before and after the scheme's introduction. So electoral bond scheme was introduced in 2018 in a bid to promote transparency in funding. So in that regard, the survey done by Association of Democratic Reforms has said that instead of bringing transparency, the opposite has happened. And it has said that this unknown income to political parties have increased from 66 to 71% after introduction of this scheme. So you can use this data as an argument to oppose the electoral bond scheme. And currently the petition regarding electoral bonds validity is ongoing in Supreme Court, and Supreme Court will take up this case in upcoming month. Now let us see few facts about electoral bond scheme. So this scheme was introduced in 2018 in a bid to promote transparency in electoral donations. So under it, eligibility criteria is the political parties which have received minimum 1% of votes in last assembly or Lok Sabha election are eligible to get funding via electoral bonds. And SBI is the issuing authority of bonds, and the electoral bonds that are issued have validity of 15 days from issue. So these are facts about electoral bond scheme. Now, this news item is related to IR. Modi Sunak meeting. UK announced youth visa plan for Indian nationals. So Indian and UK Prime Minister have met on the sidelines of G20 summit that is ongoing in Indonesia currently, where UK has unveiled a scheme to offer 3,000 places annually for 2-year work for Indian people. So it is a nice step in strengthening relations between India and UK. And further, there has been negotiation of free trade agreement between India and UK. So let us see what would be the development in that regard. But you can use this fact in your mains answer writing in India-UK relations. Now let us see few facts from prelims point of view. So India deploys new docks, upgrade speedboats for Pangong Tso patrol. So after 2020 standoff between India and China, India has been deploying new docks, upgraded speedboats to match the Chinese vessels that are currently in that region. So the point of discussion is Pangong Tso Lake. So it is located in Ladakh and has been a constant friction for both the nations. So just keep this fact in mind that this lake is located in Ladakh. Now, this Heron MK UAV that has been deployed in Ladakh, this has been taken from Israel. So keep this fact in mind as well. And the last one is recently in ongoing G20 summit, Indian Prime Minister have gifted various artifacts and arts to the heads of the states. So let us look these. So first is Patan Patola. It's a textile that is famous in Patan region in Gujarat. That is gifted to Italian Prime Minister. So just Keep these facts in mind. Which arts belongs to which state? So Patan Patola from Gujarat. Kangra miniatures, Kangra paintings are from Himachal Pradesh. Matani Pachedi, it is also a textile piece. It is from Gujarat. And Pithora, a tribal art, it is also from Gujarat. So Prime Minister has gifted various art and artifacts from Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh. So that's all for news item. Now let us move to last part, that is MCQs. Question is, in which of the following groups are all the 4 country members of G20? And these are your options. Now you can pause this video for 10 to 15 seconds. Try to attempt this question by yourself and then listen to the explanation part. So this question was asked in UPSC CSE 2020 prelims. Now let us think all these options logically. So we all know that G20 comprises of 19 nations plus European Union, and these 19 nations are largest economies of the world. Now let us start from D option: Indonesia, Japan, Singapore, South Korea. Now we can see that Singapore is a very small nation. Similarly, in option C, Brazil, Saudi Arabia, and Vietnam. Again, Vietnam is also a very small nation. In option B, Australia, Canada, Malaysia, New Zealand. Here, New Zealand also is a very small nation. In option A, Argentina, Mexico, South Africa, Turkey. Now, if you look at all the 4 options, in option A, all 4 countries that are given are big geographical area wise, and they have large economies as well. Whereas in all these 3 options, there is one nation that is very small. So by that logic, you can logically guess that answer can be A. And in reality also, A is right answer. So in these type of questions, you need not to mug up all the facts, but try to think logically to reach a probable answer. Now moving forward, which are correct statements about GST Council? Statement 1, it is a statutory body. Statement 2, Prime Minister is chairman of it. And your options are 1 only, 2 only, both and none. Now, as we have discussed, that GST Council is a constitutional body which was formed under Article 279(1) by President of India. And Union Finance Minister is chairman of it, not the Union, not the Prime Minister. So both are wrong. D is right answer. Now moving forward, question 3, which country is not part of basic group? That is Brazil, South Africa, Russia, China. So basic group was formed to raise the issues related to climate change as well as to raise the points in behalf of developing nations at 2009 Copenhagen summit under UNFCCC. So the countries that are part of basic group are Brazil, South Africa, India, and China. So Russia is not part of it. So C is right answer. Now moving forward, which are correct statements about electoral bond scheme? Statement 1, it was launched in 2014 just after Lok Sabha elections. All political parties are eligible to receive funding under this scheme. So as you discussed that this scheme was launched in 2018 and not in 2014. So first is wrong. And not all political parties are eligible, but the parties which have received minimum 1% of votes in last General Assembly elections are eligible. So both are wrong. Again, D is right answer. Last question of the day is, which are correct statements about various arts? Kangra miniatures from Gujarat, Patan Patola textile from Himachal Pradesh. And your options are 1 only, 2 only, both and none. So as we have discussed that Kangra miniatures are from Himachal Pradesh and Patan Patola textile are from Gujarat. So again, D is right answer. So that's all for day. If you find this video helpful, then please like this video and subscribe to this channel, as I'll be uploading more daily current affair videos as well as MCQ video series for prelims 2023. Thank you.